was saying, Mietek is doing a lot of work hands-on. He's got a warehouse, he's got lots of facilities that are interlinked. And I have to tell you that I'm surprised by the amazing response that Poland has to this, because we've got 80 clubs or 79 in Poland. We're just one district, and everybody's involved. Everybody's doing their own thing, or they're doing it in groups. And also all families in Poland are involved in taking refugees into their homes. I heard some comments yesterday when Mechta was here, RI president. I heard some comments that Australia doesn't believe that we can handle this. I believe we can if we all work together. And if we get help from overseas, as you're saying, club to club, it's the most direct way to get results within a couple of days. Now, I've sent you a lot of information before by email, a few summaries, which I won't read now because it'll take too long. We're all here about to start another working day, and we don't want to take up too much of your time. But if you've read the notes about what the Warszawa City Club is doing with the 4 projects that we've got underway at the moment, that's a pretty good example of what most clubs are doing. We're probably doing more than some of the smaller clubs, but it's all starting to work. We're opening new centers, and I guess the easiest way to help, some people in Europe are sending enormous container trucks to various hubs that we've set up, and they're then being transferred near the border to Ukrainian trucks, and then they get driven out to various spots in Ukraine. We're finding this is the most safe way to get things done, because our drivers sometimes have a lot of delays getting across the border, and also they don't know all the secret routes, all the safe routes. I mean, Ukraine is being bombarded all over the place, but there are still 90% of the country which are relatively undamaged in the country. The cities are all very, very badly damaged. It's a disaster. It's a humanitarian disaster on a gigantic scale. But the people who live there know where they can get through. And amazingly, some train lines are still operating, and they're being used to transfer goods as well. Rotary is focusing on transferring humanitarian aid. We're not doing anything with weapons because we're not allowed to, and I think it would cause bigger problems. So we're sending food, we're sending equipment, we're sending medicines, we're sending dried goods, we're sending personal hygiene items, which I've described before. It's a huge load. There are a few hundred trucks from Poland going out every day. Our club alone is sending a couple of trucks every couple of days, plus a lot of other goods that I've described to you, like we're buying 2 ambulances. Now, I'm giving you a very rushed summary because there's just so much to talk about, but I'm very glad you're recording this. As I said, the RI president, Sheikh Mechta, was here on Monday, and he was, well, I won't say surprised. He was obviously very well prepared, but there were some very challenging questions asked of him. And I've just got a question from our zone 18, which is Finland, because he went to Finland after Warsaw, and they're saying, what happened here? He seemed very distressed, and now he's even more concerned after being to Poland. Well, I'm not surprised, because this is a human disaster that is impossible to describe in full. So he had some difficult moments yesterday, handled it very well. We're very pleased that he was here. We're also going to be hosting Joe Biden on Friday here in Poland. He's going to Brussels first. People are starting to become aware that this is the biggest crisis at the moment, I believe, in the world. We are living in a fairly technically developed part of the world. It's not Africa, but the humanitarian crisis is as big as anything in Africa at the moment, just to give you an impression of how it's panning out. We can handle it if we all work together. We're doing everything we can, and everybody's getting involved personally and through clubs. Now, if I may, I would like to ask Mietek to show, I'm not sure how much time Mietek has because he's really flat out with doing things, but Mietek, if you would like to say a few words and perhaps show some of the pictures of what you've been doing, that'll be a very good presentation instead of my just listening to my voice. So please go ahead.
Thank you for organizing such a meeting. I'm in our club responsible for all the humanitarian project and Rotary Foundation grants. I was leader of the grant committee in our district. I was also assistant zone coordinator for Rotary Foundation. and I was first to make global grants in our district, and we are having pending grants, but we know how to do and cooperate with other clubs. I'd like to show you what we are doing, because we are sharing our help, what our club can do in two directions. First is direct help to Ukraine. We have in our club, first of all, it's necessary to communicate. So myself and many members of our club, we can speak Russian, which is spoken in Ukraine. So it is easy for us to communicate, to talk. And we have now in our club a member who applies, but she's Ukrainian, and she is very effective in all paperwork that is necessary to do donations. Moment, I would like to share a screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
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 Yeah. And what we are doing, it is, for example, we are receiving goods from Spain or other countries, but these are collected like goods which are not very good selected and not organized so that it's easy to be transferred to Ukraine. I have small logistics center in my company where I can have, let's say, 5 truckloads being unloaded, selected, grouped into the pallets, and then loaded on a truck. When these have been done, for example, this was the sample of the truck we are shipping and how we are doing this. But we are also doing such things like, this is the most what our Ukrainian friends are needing. First is medical aid, which is difficult because we are not doctors and you never can collect the proper number of medicines, but whatever in medicines we are receiving, we know that we are delivering to the right place where it will be selected and shipped. This, what you see now, it's small power generators, because in the war conditions, people don't have power. And they need, for example, to enlighten their shelter when they are hiding during the night. And in this shelter, not only they need to load their telephones, they need to sometimes boil water for milk for babies and such things. So we already, as a club, we already purchased 15 such power generators, and we are shipping with every truck which is going there, we are shipping few power generators. We have also purchased what was visible here. This is instant soups, which are very useful because you need just to add boiled water, and then you have full meal in 3 minutes, which is for people having no possibility for regular cooking, and many places people are starving because of lack of food. We are supplying, in our club, we purchased 30,000 such soups, and we are sending to Ukraine with, you can even see that we are marking these, that it is marked with the Rotary Club Warsaw City logos, that we are shipping these. You can see
Yes,
this.
cool. Could I ask
Yeah.
you if you could show those on full screen, because we've only got the postage stamp size pictures. It's a bit hard to see them. Are you able to click on your photos?
Yeah, on my,
Yeah, if you can just click on your photos and they open up on full screen, because they're very small right now.
I don't know, because I'm sharing this. I stop now and I start once again. Now it's visible?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes,
That's
yes,
yeah,
great. Thank you.
beautiful,
yes.
Thank you.
beautiful.
Okay.
Is it okay if I take screenshots of this?
Yes, of
as well?
course. Yes, of
Okay.
course.
Okay,
And you can make this is so, and we are planning. We plan also to buy more. What we delivered also blankets, which were necessary for people living in cold conditions, where many places there are no central heating, no gas. People are living just in very cold conditions. So we supplied also these kind of things. And we are shipping them power banks. Now we have 5 different locations in Ukraine that ask us to supply them ambulance. Of course, many of ambulances have been damaged during the war activities, and we can buy here in Poland sometimes for 10, sometimes for 15,000 euro used ambulance, servicize it fully, equipped it with the ladder and with the defibrillators, and sent to Ukraine. We know exactly the procedure which is now necessary to ship goods to Ukraine, because it is necessary to count local martial law authorities, because all the communes and the regional authorities have been converted into martial in the wartime administration. And we are in touch with administration, wartime administration, and they are issuing special document to the custom clearance point on the Polish-Ukrainian border, which permits a truck with goods to go there. And the second option, like we did yesterday, we have sent full truckload to the city on the Polish-Ukrainian border. And from this truck, it was loaded to the Ukrainian railway wagon, because you must remember that between Poland and Ukraine, there is different railway width.
Yeah.
So it must be changed. Wagon, it cannot come. But there are some places in Poland when we can load already on the so-called wide rails. And this is working. Even it can be delivered through all the Ukraine, through all the roads safely by railroads. So we need more food, medicaments,
Mirko,
and
can you
sanitary
show another
equipment,
photo?
like all the equipment which we can buy, of course, in Poland. And depending on the applications that we have, we are having a committee in our club with past governor Andrzej Ludek, who was a governor at the time Poland and Ukraine were the same one Rotary district. I was district secretary 15 years ago at the district 2030, which was Poland, Ukraine in Belarus. I also visited personally many clubs in Kiev, in Lviv, in Mirgorod, and we had a lot of contact. All the conferences of our district were the conferences between Poland and Ukraine, and we know a lot of people there. So we have very good contacts for help to Ukraine. And this will continue. We will continue supplying them food. Yesterday, we decided to buy 20,000 more of these instant soups, because we already had information from the beneficiaries that they like it very much, because it's so easy to use, so useful, and easy to share. For example, if we're sending one pallet, then it is on this pallet, it's around, I think, 5,000 soups. So we can, not 5,000, it's 2,500 on one pallet, but then it can be given 100 pieces there, 100 pieces there, 200 pieces another place, and it is really serving hundreds and hundreds of people. But the other activity which we started in our club is also that we created in the village here shelter for refugees. At this moment, we have here 36 women and children, 19 children and 17 women, which are in the formerly, so it was by the Catholic Church held the session, the like a pension for seminars, for recollections, for pilgrims that are coming to the Museum of St. Faustin. Maybe you heard about such a person. St. Faustin was, and such a museum exists here. And so I convinced local priest and the bishop of our diocese to give this location for sheltering up to 37 people, and it is working now. We have, because it's we have them all registered. All of them are receiving regular food, which I had a group of also other NGOs. We as a Rotary Club Warsaw City, we are leader of NGOs which are supporting these. And first $5,000, it was something like, no, 15,000 zlotys, $4,000 we have given to finance first 2 weeks of operating of this location, and we are still helping by volunteer job and helping these people. You know, it's necessary to have all these Ukrainian refugees registered in the Polish social system. To provide them free social care is necessary to register them, but registering is a quite complicated process. It needs to make a photo, it needs to make fingerprints, and it is slow. It takes half an hour for registering one person. You can imagine how it will be for registering 2 million refugees in Poland. The big center in Warsaw, in the National Stadium, has registered how many? 2,000 per day. And in Warsaw, we have 200,000 plus refugees. But in our we are trying to, as a Rotary, to show that we are leaders and we know how to help such people. So it is everything organized. I'm in touch with the local authorities, and even for this group of all persons, we have a schedule that on Friday there will be first 4 person registered, next Monday will be another 4, and so on and so on, and within a week all of them will be registered, which will permit children to go to school, because it's necessary that children at the normal school age that go to school. It is organized that in the school there are teachers which speak Ukrainian, which is very helpful, but it's difficult, of course, to provide if we are 17 children and at school age, and some are class 1, some are class 7, but they will have a help of Ukrainian speaking teacher. You must remember that the Polish and Ukrainian are Slavic languages. So in the normal slow communication, we roughly understand each other. Of course, the people like me or Andrzej Ludek, we are fluent in Russian. So it's, and the 95% of Ukrainian, they speak Russian and understand very well Russian. So it's easy to communicate. But this registration is also necessary to permit to employ the women which are in this shelter, so that they can work in the nearby small factories or hotels, or so simply that they have something to live in. when we were collecting to our shelter, to the refugee center, the women from the streets or from the refugee center in Warsaw, ladies which were taken by our private cars, they had only a black plastic garbage bag, which was the only thing they could take with them to the train when they were loaded, transported from Kiev or this region to Warsaw. There was not space for suitcases for all refugees that were packed into the trains. So they have nothing. If they had some money, these were Ukrainian hryvnia, which is very low value currency, but we are also helping them to change this currency so that they have at least some small pocket money. So many such activities are necessary. So we are oriented to one, help to Ukraine, food, medicaments, clothing, hygiene equipment. You can imagine that even if we have center for, and there are 20 women, and the 20 women in these, they need sanitary pads. Someone has to provide them this. And fortunately, in the donations we received from Spain, and we are expecting more, there were also some sanitary equipment, baby pampers, so we can help with this also. But it's necessary to have volunteers which are supplying. But so this in general brief, and this is how we do. We as a Rotary Club Warsaw City have sister clubs in Berlin and in Milan. We are meeting with our friends from Milan and Berlin every year. We are meeting in Germany or in Italy or in Poland. Of course, it was stopped for last 2 years due to pandemic, but we have very good friendship. And these two clubs, first of what they have done, they said, we are sending you money. We don't know what for, what will be necessary. We just trust it will be used properly. And thanks to this, we can buy more food, we can buy more equipment, power generators, and we will continue to do so with many other clubs which are helping us because we are so well organized in providing this kind of help to our friends.
Mietek, if I can comment just very briefly, as you know, Thomas, I lived in Australia most of my life, so this is all a shocking new experience. And to show how urgent all this is, we had examples of a woman who just went out of her home, of a house, with a mobile phone to direct a bus to pick up refugees, and a rocket hit the home, and when she turned around, the home wasn't there anymore. So all she had was a garbage bag full of a few bare essentials, and she just jumped on the bus and they ran away. And that's how she arrived in Warsaw. I mean, this is an amazing tragedy. And that we can help. It's really good to see that we can help these people. They will get free medical attention as soon as they are registered here. That's another reason why they have to be registered, so the hospitals can treat them and they get very good service. The emergency is so urgent that every day counts. That's why the clubs that Mietek just mentioned of Berlin, Luftbrücke, and Milano Nord, they are sending money because they really don't know what to send. And by the time they send their own trucks, it'll be another 2 days later. We're already 2 days ahead of them. So I suppose the most direct help you can give us is to really send money, especially from Australia. And I've actually sent you a number of our account. If you are ready to help us, that can be the most direct way to get the products to the people, whether we're supporting people in Poland or whether we're supporting the people who are still barely surviving in Ukraine. Every dollar is used just for those things, and we do all the other work for free. So that's just a bit of background. Mietek, do you have any pictures of that San Faustina Center, or can I show another center?
I'm shooking. You see, we decided not too much to make send these because we will have a session with these women, but they were not very happy to make them so many. But Anya, what I will ask Anya, she was making our club member, former club member. She's now online club member of Edmonton, Canada. And she has made more pictures with this. I was not making pictures in our shelter because I'm there every two days and with some daily help. So it is, I have no pictures, but for sure I can send you later today pictures from our St. Faustin Refugee Center.
We also have another center that we're just trying to work with around the south of Warsaw, but it's quite true what Mietek is saying. That's a matter of security, apart from privacy issues. Some of these people are reluctant to have any photographs taken because they've been threatened that once we find you, we'll kill you. And I mean, to me, that sounds like a James Bond film, but it really is a genuine concern. Some of them left, well, as refugees illegally. They escaped, and they don't want to be photographed in case any of this news gets leaked anywhere. And there are so many trolls, there are so many hackings going on at the moment. People are just absolutely scared to death. So we can't show you some pictures. I took pictures of another center, but I never had any people in it. So I had to ask people to leave a room just so we could show the facilities. It's a really life and death situation. So perhaps we won't go into the pictures because, well, I could show you a couple, but it'll just show nicely fitted out rooms, which have lots of temporary beds in them. And people are lying shoulder to shoulder in rooms because there is no more space, and we're getting more rooms fixed up every couple of days. We're going as fast as we can, and any help that you can give us will be greatly appreciated because we're here hands-on. And some people are actually even traveling still to Ukraine, which is amazing for me. But they have families there, and we had an American guy who is also going to help us. He visited our club last night. We can do so much because we're on the spot, and everybody's dedicated. And you know, we've got 38 million people in Poland, and if even 10% of them get personally involved, there's 3.8 million people who can accommodate another couple of million people at least in their homes. Yeah. So it's doable, but it's an enormous challenge. And any help you can give will be greatly appreciated because we're coping, but it's getting bigger and more complicated every day. I imagine the peak will come in the next month or so if the war actually starts to taper off, and we're really hopeful that that is going to happen. The biggest fear is that there is no exit scenario. Nobody really knows what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks. There are lots of predictions. There are lots of people who think they can foretell the future. It's the fear of the unknown. Nobody knows what the next crazy step is going to be from the aggressor's side. And we're very concerned, but we can't stop helping the people who are here and also helping the people who are just barely surviving. I mean, imagine spending a night when it's minus 10 degrees without electricity, without water, without food. I am staggered. I'm staggered. When I come to Australia later this year, hopefully I will come and visit you and I'll tell you how we've gone. But the main issue is that we want to keep on going as fast as we can. And I'm really grateful that you set up this meeting. Mirko, would you like to say anything more? I don't know how much time you have, but Mirek is doing amazing stuff. And we're all helping, road directors are helping, and also
I wanted to do it.
So, in sum, yesterday I went by train from Warsaw to Berlin. Some Ukrainians moved to other countries. Unfortunately, most of them remain in Poland. It is a great challenge for us right now and in the future. There is very problem because now we help two people to Ukraine, but in future in future we in Poland very big challenge in Poland, because now is only 2 million Ukrainian. Thank you.
And also, I would add to that that it is a really big tearjerker for us, because these people don't want to go further. The expectations were that most of them will go to Germany or to France or to Holland, where they can perhaps earn more money because there's a different economic structure there. But most of them are staying here because they're saying any day we'll go back. We want to save the people, you know, our families are still there. We don't want to go too far away. This will finish in a week or two. We want to be right on the spot so we can go back. I hope that's true.
Yeah. If I could just jump in, let me say that I am so overwhelmed by all of this information. It is so staggering, and you guys have made it so real. And I really want to compliment you on how organized you are, how you've taken the initiative. I'm just blown away by the huge needs that you must have been. This must have been a tsunami on you, but you're doing a great job as best you can. This is just overwhelming. Yeah, Fred, would you like to just say some words back to these folks, and then we'll finish up here?
I've been watching BBC, CNN, and I just can't get away from it. I just don't believe it. When I say I don't believe it, that this could be happening now, and all those people without homes, without water, without the basics of life. I don't know how we do it. And to the world to just sit back. I know that they're trying, but they're getting, I don't know. So whatever we can do over here, I'm sure individuals themselves and the Rotary clubs, we will do something for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, and it won't be enough. I know that.
Well, every bit helps, and every dollar is used to maximum effect. We've just sent some rotoractors to manage the bus flow in another refugee center, which is about 20 kilometers southwest of Warsaw. There are thousands of people coming every day, and they have to be rerouted to buses that will take them to other parts of Poland and to other countries. So, you know, it's working at all levels. Mietku, please say.
I would like just to conclude with one sentence, that we have to be prepared for a long activity. I'm telling this on the example of my father. My father, 43 to 45, was a slave worker in Nazi Germany, taken out from the street of Wołomin, this small city, and near Hamburg, he worked as a slave worker in Germany. But a war ended in May. My father was back home in November. This was the time for relocating all refugees, all people back. Now it will be faster, but even if I imagine that some ceasefire or the war stops in 2 months, we will still have here hundreds of thousands and millions of refugees for the next half a year or more. So all efforts and all support that we as a Rotary can provide them is so necessary, and we have to be prepared for consistent and long help for them.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yes, let me just pick up on that, Maytek. First of all, let me say that I am absolutely blown away by how much you and the entire Rotary Club of Warsaw City is doing right now. It's even hard for me to sit here and listen to this and say, oh, you know, food's a priority. And then you talk about getting people registered in the system so that they can go to school and have access to basic services. I've lost track of priorities, so to speak. But one thing that I do want to emphasize here, and I think I speak for all of our clubs here in Australia, and that is that your need is immediate. And I think that you said it best when you said that the clubs from Milan and Berlin were transferring funds to you in trust of you being fellow Rotarians and stewards of the money that is sent for, according to our Rotary principles that we all recite every week, for the benefit of those people really in need. And let me say that I for myself believe that that's exactly the way that we have to operate, on the basis of trust and speed, and trust that you at your end are able to channel those funds where they're needed the most. You know, we simply cannot do that here in Australia. Our job, as I see it, is to raise funds so that you people on the ground, you know, upfront and personal, get involved. And our job is to help you and support you. Pete, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think that's really nailed it. I think that for me, there were two things I really wanted to get out of tonight. One was an understanding on what's happening on the ground. What are we doing? Because there's a lot of fundraising being asked, but where's those funds going? And what you've shown tonight is the fact that we are doing something where we can physically touch, feel, make a difference. So I think that that's been a very powerful message for tonight. So thank you. I think the second point was around the idea of collaboration. You know, we've got Fred on the line, we've got Rotary Cross on the line. We're looking to work from our end around what we as a district can do. But what you've also showed is you're becoming that nexus, that center of collaboration from Berlin, from Spain, from your sister clubs in Belarus and things like that, and your other NGOs that you mentioned locally. So not only are you making a difference, but you're coordinating the efforts, because I think if there were fragmented efforts, we would never make a difference. It's the sum of the whole is greater than the parts, and you've really proved that tonight. So I think coordination and on the ground delivery is really what came through tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, yes. And thank you. And I'm reminded of the word team. You know, together, everyone achieves more. And I look at Rotary Club of Warsaw and what we're doing here in Australia and Rotary globally as a team. We're all working together. So I'm speaking for myself. I am so in awe of what you people are doing. I don't care if you guys buy soups, you know, feed people. To me, that's what I believe is needed right now. You know, as Pete said, direct action for suffering. And the best way we can do it is to raise our funds here in Australia, which I assure you we will do something to the best of our ability. But we are entrusting them to you, Mark, and to your Rotary Club as fellow Rotarians to disperse them over the wide range of services that you're already providing. You have opened my eyes this evening to things that I have never heard of. Simple ideas like registration in the Polish social system so kids can go to school. And recognizing that the great majority of, in fact, practically all of these refugees are women and children that have special needs that we need to be moving on immediately. So I would like to say on behalf of our team here in Australia, Mark, that I'm in total awe of what you guys are doing. I would like, if we could, to keep up our contacts on a regular basis. I'd like to suggest that we come together again next Wednesday at the same time, same place.
Perfect.
And we will come up with an action plan and move quickly from our end to help you guys. All I can say is I'm so much in awe of what you guys are doing that we've got to help. I mean, this is just over. I'm sorry, I'm just so overcome with the emotion of this this is so powerful that
Well, to give you a little ray of hope, we are very pleased that we're actually getting messages of confirmation that the stuff has arrived.
yeah,
Your repacked container truck has come to us. We've got it
Yeah.
here. That's invaluable because we know that it's not just disappearing into a dark hole. We don't know where it's ended up. People are actually contacting us saying, it's come. When's the next one? So this is really very much hands-on, and I'm really very moved by all of this, and I'm moved by your reaction. This is really humanity at its best and in its worst. You know, the tragedy is huge, but everybody's coming together, and we're doing things that give results within 48 hours or even less.
Yeah.
So
One more example, because in the meantime, I got the telephone call, what we need. The children which we are there, they can have some online lessons which are still made in Ukraine, but they don't have any computer here. So that they can be online and teach. I have given my personal computer, but it is one. I need 10 tablets, 12 tablets that every children can have at least Ukrainian lessons online, which are provided. And we need just funds for such small things to provide them.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. I really understand.
But I'm very glad about a meeting next week. If you can suggest an action plan from your side, we can report our progress. I mean, we are going to keep on going full speed ahead in any case, but all your help is greatly appreciated, and let's meet. If you can set it up for next Wednesday, Mietek, if you're okay for that.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine.
And Paul, maybe you can join us as well next Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. We are going to rush ahead and do more things because it's all growing so quickly. You didn't mention one bit. The registration also gives health services. These people, a lot of them are not that well. They've been through incredible trauma. They need counseling. There are people sitting in these new rooms that they've just refurbished for them, and they're sitting there for 2 days crying. You know, I mean, it's understandable. They've just been through hell, and some of them didn't survive because they didn't make it to the exit points. So there's an amazing scenario. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pete, if you're
Mark, thank you so much. And once again,
Thank you.
I think I speak for Fred and Pete. Mark visited our club 4 years ago, has lived here in Australia, understands the mentality. Mark, you're a great asset to act as a filter and a go-between for us here in Australia and the needs on the ground in Poland and Ukraine. So thank you for stepping up as a Rotarian and as humanitarian. So this is really great.